Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC review, and in this DC review I'll be covering Flash issue 800, the celebration of Wally West. And moving into first things first, do these covers in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside story-wise? Seeing that we do have a bit of an anthology of some stories in here, it pretty much does, to which I give the first one, which is the main trade dress one, an 8 out of 10. And the foil variant cover, a 8.5 out of 10, as I really quite like it, and it was something that I picked. So what I'll do now is I'll arrange to go through each of the stories, and at the end of the story, I'll give the story rating. The art rating as well as the story rating. So as we prepare ourselves for the stories that are about to come, these are the ones that are in it. We've got one which focuses around Central City. We have one that focuses on Bar Allen by Mark Waid. Of course, we've got The Flash Family by Joshua Williamson. Blitzback on Zoom. And last but not least, Between Love and You by Cy Spurrier. So as the story begins, we get to see the villains have their team up and a bit of a talk about each city. The talk continues and we get to see some of the events that take place. Some more of the story. Plus more. Start to move towards the end. And last but not least, where it finishes. I must admit, I really did enjoy this story by Jeremy Adams, which covers Don't Come to Central City. For the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, but for the actual story itself, I gave an 8 out of 10. Great way to finish off the series. Let's move on to The Max in the Mirror by Mark Waid. And I must admit, I really enjoyed this Mark Waid one, and it probably got one of the highest scores in this, but we'll find out when we get to the end of the story. We get to see Impulse here, trying to help out Max, and I think it's Barry Allen Flash. Of course, we get to see how smart he is, not just impulsive, until this one finishes. For the art in this, I gave an 8 out of 10. But for the story, I gave an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this, Mark Waid. Thank you very much. As I have also read the Impulse trade paperback. Now it's time to move on to the Joshua Williamson one, which focuses on the Flash family. Of course, we get to see a number of events take place. Until last but not least, towards the end. For this, I gave the art a 7.5 out of 10. I did enjoy the art, but for the overall story, I gave it a 7 out of 10, as it's sort of just an average story. It's not super. Next one is Zoom. Or focuses on the character of Zoom, or Hunter Zolomon, and we get to see a bit of a flashback around the character until it moves sort of like into the character's present. I'm not too sure what this has to do with Wally West. I can understand that it's got something to do with some of the members of the Flash family as one of their villains. We get to see quite a bit take place until we reach the end. For the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. For the story, once again, a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the Cy Spurrier one. And as the story begins, we see it takes place in Central City. We see a bit of a discussion taking place. And of course, Wally West is getting distracted, maybe a little bit too distracted. We get to see some more stuff take place. Shows a bit of dark and grittiness. Slowly moving towards the conclusion until we reach the end. For the art, I gave a 7 out of 10, though it was a bit dark. But for the overall story, I gave a 5 out of 10, so I'm not too sure how I'm going to go well with this series. I could end up dropping it after the second issue. But overall, I did enjoy the majority of stories in this. Until then, let's keep colorful and have yourself an awesome day.